Hello, everybody. This is Football Psyche. Who's that, buddy?
It's Sarge on a Saturday morning.
Saturday morning. It is week 2 of the preseason. Man, we're ready to get into it because we have so much to talk about. All this craziness is going on in the NFL. We try to figure out what these teams are freaking doing.
We have football on a Saturday. I love preseason.
Yeah, football on a Saturday. There's going to be so many great games today. So take us away there, Lord Sarge. What are we going to talk about?
Well, we got 3 things, as we always do. Who are the key holdouts that we still have? And we still have some. We also have hold-ins, which we learned a couple of weeks ago what that was. I hope you all remember. And what are the injuries that we have around the league? You know, preseason's in full swing, and people are getting hurt. So we have a couple season-ending ones, which we're going to talk about. And then what are the top buzz stories for week 2 in the preseason? What buzz stories are there?
I'll tell you one buzz story. I'm wearing my Football Psyche jersey. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling like let alone my Pro Football Hall of Fame hat. You got Rory the Lion because I don't know, man.
I felt like being nostalgic today and tickling the lion. So
yeah, you got some crazy camera going on over there.
Yeah, you know, large Sarge. Wee!
Oh my goodness, man! You
it's
can never
Saturday
get
morning.
All right, well, guess what we're going to do there, Large Sarge, and all you fans that are watching here. We're going to start live streaming this show. We live stream on Mondays with the Commanders Edition. Well, we decided that why not live stream football? Because now that football's back, we know that you just don't want to watch a show. We know that you just don't want to participate in pre-recorded stuff because that's what everybody does. Why don't you get on with us, hang out with us, and actually talk football, baby?
That's what we hope you do. That's what we want you to do.
That's exactly what we want you to do.
We want to bring it to the masses.
Football's about talking crap about teams and who's going to do what. And you know what? Your opinions matter. So don't just sit back and drink whiskey like freaking Large Sarge does. Actually participate. Put your comments in the section. Participate in the live stream. If you talk and you make comments on there, we will respond to them live. And we want to interact with each and every one of you. And that starts next Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. I think we're in daylight time, right? Is it Eastern Daylight Time that we're in? Not standard time, it's daylight time, right?
Eastern Standard Time.
I don't think we're in standard. Aren't we in daylight? I don't know.
No. Either way, October we fall forward and
yeah, that stuff.
Yeah,
you know, kind of like football. You want to fall forward, you don't want to fall back. I don't know, but anyway. Participate in our show.
You fall back.
Yeah, that. So anyway, we have got so much to talk about. And first thing we're going to talk about is holdouts and hold-ins and everything in the NFL. And, you know, there's a lot going on in the 49ers territory because they got 2 big guys.
So much going on. They got more than that.
And you know what? Didn't they win the NFC last year? And isn't people trying to predict that they're going to go back to the Super Bowl like a bunch of idiots? That's not going to happen, people.
Well,
First of all, go ahead.
Madden 25 just came out.
That's right. It came out last
night. I'm updated. And guess what just came out? They're already running the simulations. And you know who's predicted to get back to the Super Bowl this year?
Oh, please don't tell me the 49ers. Oh, please.
Let
me tell you something. They are wrong. Let me tell you why they're wrong.
And they've lost both of them in the Super Bowl. Guess to who?
An AFC team.
The Ravens.
The Ravens. Yeah, okay. So for those of you that participate in our predictions, we don't have either one of those 2 teams going to the Super Bowl. We have neither one of those 2 teams going. I can make the case for Baltimore. I am not going to make a case for the 49ers.
No, I don't see it.
I don't see it happening. First of all, Kyle Shanahan, although he says he is optimistic that they'll work things out with Trent Williams has 3 years remaining on his contract. And his biggest issue with this contract is there's no guaranteed money in it. He wants to make sure I'm locked up and guaranteed. Yeah, well, you would think that if you were smart as the 49ers, you'd be like, this is no additional hit to your cap. That you just say, you know what, I'm going to make all 3 years just guaranteed. Let's just get it done.
Lock you in. Let's make you happy.
You've been in the league for a long time. Let's just keep you happy. That's not what's happening, though.
Yeah. This is the same crap that happened in Redskins land when Trent was with us.
Yeah. Well, Trent wanted the big contract. He's got the big.
I'm just saying, it's all about this. Remember how we talked about that, Coach Mike? It's all about this.
Yeah, but see, I don't think, there might be an area here where he's trying to get more money out of him. But if you're just talking about you got 3 years on your contract and you want your money to be guaranteed because there's no guaranteed money, in other words, you can be cut tomorrow and you don't get anything.
Right.
That if you wanted to do that and not take any cap hit and you were smart as a GM, which I think John Lynch is, you would say, okay, we'll just make your contract fully guaranteed for the next 3 years. Don't worry about it. You're going to get paid.
You'd do a full guarantee?
Why not? He's very proven in the league. He's not going nowhere.
Yeah, but he could be injured. He's not a young chicken anymore.
I
guarantee half of it. I guarantee half.
And maybe that's what they're negotiating, right? Like, but for me, for somebody who's as proven as him, because he is arguably, and it's probably not much of an argument, he is probably the number one offensive line in the whole NFL. And he's very durable. He's very dependable.
I would not guarantee the whole thing because you know how I feel about this, Coach. The whole league has gone money crazy.
Yeah, well,
who did you guarantee all of his salary? What's his motivation to play hard? You know what he's going to want to do? He's going to take that guaranteed money and open a restaurant, a steakhouse, and he's not going to play hard so he doesn't want to get injured, right? So you got to have something to go for. When you guarantee 100% of a player, then you just took all their motivation to try hard out.
There's no carrot. There's no carrot on the end of the stick that gets you to run.
You're right. You got to have a carrot somewhere.
Yeah, I get that too. So another thing that John Lynch is dealing with is not only with this Trent Williams contract, he's dealing with Brandon Ayuk, the story that will not go away. And he says, we feel a sense of urgency to have him. Yeah, you think? Maybe it's because every freaking player wants him on the team, and every single coach wants him on the team, and every single fan wants him on the team. You think you might have a sense of urgency there, John Lynch?
But apparently the Pittsburgh Steelers want to have him on the team too.
Well, there's that. So he requested a trade because they couldn't agree to a contract extension. So he goes, trade me. I request a trade. And there's a lot of teams that came forward, 3 to be exact, that said, we want your services. 2 of them have already dropped off. The Pittsburgh Steelers have an offer on the table. Apparently, the 49ers countered, and they have an offer on the table. And Brandon
I did not know that.
Brandon Ayuk has not made a decision on either one. Because he still feels like maybe the team just really doesn't want him. And he's just like, what would life be like in Pittsburgh?
Mm-hmm.
And so he's undecided. He's on the fence.
Wilson throwing to me. Fields throwing to me. Playoffs last year. What does he lose by going to the Steelers? What does he lose potentially?
It's really depends on, at this point, he's got a lot of leverage and he's just on the fence. And I don't know what's happening behind the line, but I got a video that sums it up pretty well. I don't know this dude, but he introduces himself, so he'll get credit in this video. I feel good about that. But we're going to have a reaction to what this guy has to say because I love the way he puts it out.
Let's see it.
Back in. I'm Kevin John. Well, raise your hand if you're tired of all the Brandon Ayuk 49ers drama going on. Truth be told, at this point, I'm sick of talking about it, too. I mean, we haven't seen this much drama and suspense since the final season of Game of Thrones. So how did we get here? Well, I am glad you guys asked. Let me catch you up to speed. So this whole situation started February 13th, just 2 days after the Super Bowl, where Ayuk posted on his Instagram story, quote, "Don't forget what got you here," which implied he was not happy with the way the Niners used him in the Super Bowl. Then on March 25th, Niners GM John Lynch said the 49ers weren't discussing any trades involving Ayuk. Now to June 17th, a video on TikTok surfaced where Ayuk said, quote, "They don't want me back." Now, of course, he's referring to the 49ers. Then on July 16th, Ayuk formally requested a trade from the 49ers. And then the bombshell on August 5th, the 49ers had a trade framework in place with the Patriots and Browns. Now, as we know now, we know the Steelers are the only team in the picture. Now, as far as today is concerned, Ayuk was seen at practice this morning, speaking to teammates and coaches, and it's clear his team wants him there.
I'm sure.
I mean, I love Ayuk. I've played with him for 4 years. I love his mindset every single day. I do know that Ayuk is a fantastic football player, and the energy that he brings every single day just elevates us. So just being able to have a conversation with him, because, I don't see him all the time. I'm in camp mode, and just being able to have a conversation with him is fantastic. Just, how he's doing, and if everything's going away the way that he wants it to go.
So the players want him there. The front office wants him there. The fans clearly want him there. And he's going to get a nice little contract. I don't know why he just doesn't stay and get this whole thing over with.
So I hear there is a deal on the table, right?
There is a deal on the table, but the thing is, the 49ers have to, of course, I guess, persuade him to take it. Because the Steelers also have something on the table, too.
All right. Well, there you have it. First of all, I thought that was a very good piece that guy made.
Yeah, for sure.
Because he broke it down really well. And I think it's one of those things that, you want to get caught up on what's going on, Brandon. I think he laid that out perfectly. What do you think is going to happen with Brandon Ayuk?
I'm going to tell you something. You look at the timeline that he laid out. What did you hear in that timeline? What was the overriding thing you heard? I'll tell you what I heard. Brandon Ayuk doesn't want to be with the 49ers. That's what I heard. They might want him. Other teams don't want him, but he does not want them. He wants out for whatever reason, whatever's going on that we don't know about out here in Fanland.
Something happened behind the scenes where he
that overriding feeling, right?
Yeah, where he felt like they were pushing it. They were either pushing him out, or they already made up their mind that they didn't want to pay him, or he just got this feeling like that. I remember that video that he had with Jaden Daniels, who he's big friends with. He's just like, they don't want me. So you can say things in the public eye, like we want you, but like he generally knows that deep down they don't want him, or that's his impression anyway.
I mean, a player does not ask to be traded unless they're not happy for any myriad of reasons. You never put it out there to say, trade me, right? Ever.
Especially when your team made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So something happened. Sorry about this, folks. Something happened where that's the general feeling that he has. And that hasn't gone away. Apparently that's there to stay. So there is something in his head that says, I don't belong here, or they don't want me here, or whatever the I'm not here anymore is. But it's him. It's not them.
Well, Deebo Samuel believes that he ain't going anywhere. Let's take a listen to this.
Okay.
About this team not being able to win the Super Bowl without Brandon Ayuk. Are you?
Am I worried?
Can this team win a Super Bowl without Brandon
Ayuk? Can we win a Super Bowl without BA? I think BA is going to be a part of this team, so we don't have to worry about that.
Let's go. Love that.
You can't answer it any better than that.
Oh, I like that clip. Coach, that's a great clip. Thank you.
That's a great clip, man.
Oh, that's a great clip. Oh, that's funny.
He's like, he's going to be part of it.
Hell no, they're not winning a Super Bowl without him. They couldn't win a Super Bowl with him.
Well,
so on what earth are they going to win one without him?
I think if you ask Brandon Ayuk said they could have won that one had they gotten him the football.
Yeah, of course.
They weren't using him.
Yep.
Like he's just like, you're in the Super Bowl. I got you here. And then all of a sudden you're not going to use me in the Super Bowl. Like, are you kidding me? Like you should be lighting me up and I should be walking away with Super Bowl MVP out of this freaking thing.
Yep, for sure.
Ride me to the promised land.
Yep.
And that didn't happen. And so I think that they're still, Brandon might be still a little butt sore about it.
That's one way to put it.
It's not, I think he's butt sore.
Gasoline. We need some gasoline.
Yeah. There still might be some blood in his stool, man.
Oh boy.
But anyway, okay, so we are going to continue to watch the Brandon Ayuk situation. Another one that we have, another wide receiver who still has issues is CeeDee Lamb in Dallas. When that Jerry Jones is continuously asked about that, the latest is he answered with one word. He goes, "I'm going."
They're going to come to a deal. They have.
Here's the deal about the Dallas Cowboys.
They're going to pay him.
Here's the deal about the Dallas Cowboys. They exercise the 5th-year option on Micah Parsons, which comes in at a very, very healthy, about $15 million salary situation. They do have salary cap room projected for next year for 2025 to be able to sign either CeeDee Lamb or Dak Prescott. I think it was up to Jerry Jones originally that he was going to let them play out the year of their contracts to kind of decide which direction he wanted to go on that, realizing he probably wouldn't be able to keep both. That is backfired, people, because CeeDee Lamb was just like, oh, heck no, I'm not playing this game. I'll let Dak play that game, but I ain't playing this game. I'm going to hold out. Yep. And you're either going to pay me or I'm going to force a trade in this matter. And this has gotten to the point where Jerry Jones has actually offered him a contract, which he has declined. He's like, no. And I think that they're largely off, way off in numbers.
Really? What do you know what for, Coach?
So I think he's looking for a $30 million plus deal, 30 to 35 million plus deal a year. And I think that they're probably offering maybe $10 to $15 million less than that. I have a feeling that maybe Jerry Jones is trying to squeeze them both in the salary cap, but it's not going to work.
Yeah. Wow.
And so this is one to continue to watch. And he, unlike Brandon Ayuk, who shows up to practice every day and just doesn't work out, he just jaw jacking with all of his buddies.
He's a hold-in.
Who's a hold-in.
I learned that from you.
Yeah. So unlike Brandon Ayuk, who's a hold-in, who's just a distraction every day in practice, CeeDee Lamb is not there. Just like Trent Williams is not there in the 49ers either. Trent Williams is apparently he's in Houston. CeeDee Lamb, I don't know where he is, but he certainly isn't in camp.
Coach Mad Mike, we're in Madden 25 season now.
And we are.
And if you are the coach of the Cowboys, right? You are the GM, you know, you're playing franchise mode and Madden, and the CeeDee Lamb deal was up. And the computer put up he wants 30 mil. What would you do? Would you go for it?
No, I'd let him walk.
You let him walk. Okay. I'm just. What would you offer? About 15 to somewhere between 15 and 20.
So Madden, to be honest with you, and people who play Madden, especially franchise mode that are watching, they know the contracts are a little bit more user friendly in Madden. They're not as high as they are in real life, because in real life, agents are out there. Everybody's trying to make their player the highest played player in the NFL. And so they keep leapfrogging. The algorithms in Madden don't try to leapfrog and come up with record-breaking deals, right? So they're a little bit more reasonable. I think his salary would come in probably about 25 to 27 in Madden. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Which I would still let him walk. I wouldn't pay that money for a wide receiver.
So
mainly because in Madden,
what is his value in your opinion? What is CeeDee Lamb's value to any team? What is his value? Saying he's top-notch guy. What do you think the value?
So the market right now is inflated. Let's be real. His market value right now, the last time I looked, it was 34.1 million, which is unaffordable for any team.
Yeah.
Period.
Oh God.
And I would not pay
a lot of money for a really.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing in Madden. When I play Madden, I can get by with, like an 82 rated wide receiver and win. I don't need a CeeDee Lamb to win in Madden. I would rather have the cap space to build a more rounded football team. And when I do that for franchise mode, I want a dominant team across the board. I don't want to have all my money wrapped up in one guy who could get hurt.
Of course, right?
Have holes all over my team.
And that translates to real life as well.
You would think, right? But teams don't necessarily go that direction.
Oh, speaking of which, the same information I got on the predictions from out of Madden.
Yeah. What was another matter prediction?
Right to this subject. You know how much Atlanta paid for Cousins, right? 180 million, right?
Yep.
Guess where Madden has him finishing? Cousins with his worst year, healthy, and 3-14.
3-14?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Madden is way off. I will tell you that
complete bust for the Falcons. Talking about paying the highest dollar and betting your whole team on one person.
Atlanta Falcons are going to look really, really good, and I'm going to tell you why when we see who they recently just traded for and signed. Yeah. So, like, the Atlanta Falcons are going to do really well. Madden's wrong. Madden's wrong about all the.
All right, I'm just to your point about wrapping all your money up in one person.
Yeah, I get that point, but I will tell you all 5 points that you made about Madden predictions so far, to me, I believe are all completely and utterly wrong.
Yeah.
And I will tell you the Atlanta Falcons are going to win a lot more than 3 games this year.
Yeah, you would think we predicted that for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, are they going to go like, are they like a contender? No, but they're going to win a lot more than 3 games.
So do you think CeeDee Lamb's going to come in low to mid 20s, somewhere between 20 and 25?
I believe so, yes. Now, it might not be with the Dallas Cowboys.
Do you really think that can happen?
Because, I will tell you that there's people on there that will be like, oh, he's a Cowboy. He's not going nowhere. Micah Parsons even said he ain't going nowhere. Okay. Well, when players get disgruntled, they'll go and they'll sign for other teams for less. It's weird how that crap happens.
Yeah.
It really is.
Because you just get burnt out when you're like, screw you.
You're tired of negotiating with your team.
Yeah.
And you realize on the fair market value of where it is, like you have that number in your mind. I'm worth $34 million. Then you get out there and realize that nobody pays it. And then you're like, but there's a saying that players say. It only takes one team to agree to it.
That's right.
And there's 32 teams out there, right? So if your team doesn't do it, there's 31 other teams. Only one of them have to actually agree to it, right? And there you go. You get the money.
Let me ask you a question, and I'm just curious because to me, all this money goes just. It's not like back in the day where you had the Iron Curtain and who were the Giants? What were the Giants' defensive line? Those guys. What was the name of them? I can't remember. I'm talking about the Steelers and
the steel curtain with them
and curtain, right? You had these guys that played for the purity of the game because they loved it and they loved getting out there and scrapping, right? And they come out with broken arms and a cast on their arm and they didn't give it, I won't say that word on our channel, but they didn't give a but to these days where it's just about the money. And my point is, if it's just about the money, no one's going to pay it. And when you realize they're not going to pay what you want or your agent can't get your deal, do you play as hard that year as you would have if you got everything you wanted? Or if you get everything you wanted, do you play as hard because now you want to sit on it and enjoy it? It's psychologically, right? I mean, it's just, the money really messes with the game and the players, in my opinion. It really does the psychology of how players view how they play.
Yeah, I do believe that there's a huge sports psychology part of the game, right? So obviously confidence is a lot during play game, and momentum has a large play with that because that plays into your confidence, into your the psychology of it. And we see every time we see a game, we can see psychologically, we can see momentum change because momentum is all about psychology, right? It's all about psychology.
I mean, there's a difference between a rookie who's trying to prove himself and get a spot on the team and how he plays versus a fat cat who just got the top end contract.
Yeah.
There's a psychological difference.
Yeah. And I think that there is a psychological difference also with fully guaranteed contracts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you get if you get all these things and you realize, that you truly have money, and we talked about this when we were off camera, that, when you get a certain amount of money, you're like, hey, nobody can touch me anymore. I can do whatever I want.
Yep.
Right. So you don't necessarily have that carrot that motivates you to get out there and necessarily do it. So you either have pride and love for the game or you don't. And if to your point, if you're just about the money, then your character will show when you get paid the money.
Yeah.
I remember the Albert Hainsworth situation that happened in Washington. When he got paid, you saw his true character come out. He's a dirtbag.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly. He went.
When you see people who truly do love the game and they get paid, well, they're going to keep doing what they do. You still question whether or not they still motivated to put in the extra work.
Like a Brady.
But there's certain people who just are passionate about what they do. And they'll keep doing it when they have plenty of money in the bank.
Because it's personal honor. It's personal.
Yeah, and you're trying to set up a legacy. And you did mention Tom Brady. Tom Brady, I would categorize as one of those. There was many years where he took a little bit less on the salary cap so he could get players around him. Peyton Manning is another one.
Yeah, Peyton.
Right? And you can see examples of like that. So I wouldn't say it's all about the money, but it sure seems like it, doesn't it?
It's the general feeling, and when teams get into this position with a player, I'm totally agreeing with what you said last week, Coach. I think what you said last week was very instructive in terms of psychological motivation for a player and teams wanting to say, you know what, we've had enough. We can't afford this anymore, especially where quarterbacks are concerned. When you're spending 1/5 of your entire budget on a quarterback, let's kick you to the curb and let's go to the draft and let's find somebody, and this year's quarterback draft class is proving that that's not a bad strategy because on the whole, they're all doing fantastic.
Yeah. And, you get them from about 15 million versus 55 million.
Yep.
That's $40 million of cap space you can use by surrounding them with other good players and pieces around them.
Exactly. Which makes them better.
And then maybe in 5 years when they're asking for too much money, let them hit the street. I don't know. But we'll see how that turns out with a lot of these guys.
When you sign a sweetheart deal, if you're in the playoffs every year, you sign that one sweetheart deal, but they've earned it at that point.
Yeah, so that's the Patrick Mahomes.
And you build a team around him. You build a team around him at that point, right?
Right. So another one that we have here is Hassan Reddick. So Reddick with the Jets has requested a trade, but the Jets have turned it down, and there was interest around the league. Several teams inquired because everybody needs a good edge rusher. He's listed as outside linebacker, but let's face it, he's kind of an edge rusher too.
Would the Commanders benefit from a Hassan Reddick? Oh my Lord!
I think. Yes, they would. Now the question would be, would they be willing to pay him? Which is Adam Peters doesn't seem to be on that model right now. But
yeah, he would for that kind of talent.
Yeah, because they're still living in the after effects. I mean, he inherited the situation after Montez Sweat was gone, but the fans remember. We are still feeling the pain of not having Montez Sweat on the team.
Yeah, for sure.
And by the way, for the amount that Chicago tied him up on the long-term deal was extremely affordable to us.
Yeah.
So come on.
So the Jets have said no. That means there's no chance. So now
I would never say that there's no chance because here's what people will say, right? Like this happens in the league all the time. There's always gamesmanship, right? So an agent will be like, no, I decline your trade request. But that doesn't mean he's not answering the phone. The general manager can answer the phone. If somebody offers him a ridiculous offer, all of a sudden he'll take the phone call.
Might be interested. Okay.
General managers are constantly working the phones, man. I mean, that's what they do.
Right.
So anytime somebody tells you, I mean, this is a message from the general manager to the agent. You put in a trade request, I say no. Doesn't keep 31 other teams from calling. Right.
So you think if the right deal came along, it's a possibility?
I think that's the case for any football player, period.
Interesting.
I mean, if I was a general manager, and I'm not, but if I was a general manager, I don't care how much I'm in love with any player that you can possibly think of. I'm going to take a phone call. And I might be giggling when I'm listening to whatever it is that they're proposing. Right?
You're going to listen. I'm
going to listen to it. I'm going to listen to the nonsense I hear on the phone, right? But if someone goes, I'm willing to freaking mortgage my freaking franchise in order to get this player, I've got to seriously consider it.
Makes sense.
Because here's the truth about football players. there's going to be a day that they're no longer on your football team.
Yes. Yes, that will happen.
It happens with every single football
like
player.
Death and taxes, man.
Death and taxes, man. It's like it's going to happen.
And shaving.
That's right. It's going to happen. Right?
Tax and shaving is going to happen. Yep.
That's right. So, like, you seriously have to consider if someone throws a ridiculous offer at you, you're just like, you can't be that married to any player. Period.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's keep moving on. So, there have been some major injuries around the league. So, Matt Carroll was signed. Interesting signing by the Vikings because J.J. McCarthy was placed on injured reserve.
Yeah, and you know what? JJ had a great game despite all the preseason talk about he looks iffy. He came out and he balled. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And then to see him go down with that injury is like, he's.
So first player in NFL history as a rookie to be a top 10 pick and to be placed on injured reserve his rookie year and will not play his entire rookie year.
Which means he's probably done.
I
mean, they've got one game of film. That's it. And while it looked great, a year, oh man.
The best saving grace for him is you can still work out when you're on injured reserve. Your ID card still works to get into the building.
Right.
Right. And so, and you still have access to your medical team of your team. The best thing that young rookie
is available, yeah.
And your personal trainers are still at your disposal when they're not busy working on active players. Right. So the best thing that you can do is get healthy and then get your butt back inside the building. Because I don't care how broken you are, you can watch film.
Yes.
I don't care how broken you are, you can listen to coaches.
You can be on the sidelines, you can be learning. Yep.
You can be learning. You can do whatever you need to do. And then as the physical stuff comes along, you can be in the weight room, you can be around the environment, you can be doing the little things that you can to improve.
You can show effort and you can show commitment and you can do all those things. Yeah, I agree.
All those things. And then that way, next off season, you could be a full up round and you could be like, I am ready and I'm hungry.
What was his injury? It was a meniscus.
Yeah, meniscus, but I can't remember.
Right, it was a knee. Right, it was a knee.
I thought it was a throwing shoulder or something.
Was it shoulder? Okay,
I don't know. Somebody write it up. Look it up real quick and write it in the comment section. But anyway, the Bills, their linebacker Matt Milano is out indefinitely after tearing biceps.
Can you imagine that? Ouch. Can you imagine tearing one of these monsters? Ow! Ow! How do you lift your whiskey cola after that?
You got to use the other arm.
Oh, that's right. You got another arm. Yeah. I didn't think about that. Let me try how that's working. I don't know. It's a little shaky. I don't know, but okay.
Yeah, use the other arm, man, and build up that other arm muscle. Or I hope you have a good-looking girl who would be willing to put that whiskey bottle up to your mouth.
Oh, that's what it's all about.
You know, while you're taking your while you're taking your painkillers, get your whiskey painkiller.
Torn bicep. Jeez, pizza.
All right, so then Justin Herbert still walking around in a boot with plantar fasciitis. I've had plantar fasciitis before. It's nasty.
Me too. It does not feel good.
It's just hard just to get up and walk to the bathroom when you got plantar fasciitis.
It makes you wonder, how is an athlete in top physical condition with the best coaching and training and facilities and doctors around actually get plantar fasciitis? How? What did he do to get it? It's a weird injury.
Fasciitis by actually overworking your feet. It ends up
a quarterback. He's not like he's running sprints like a wide receiver. He's dropping back 5 yards, 3 steps, 5 steps.
I don't know what he's doing, man. I don't know. Justin Herbert, we're gonna have to bring you on the show so we can figure out what you did to end up in a walking boot.
It's not a normal injury for a QB. It's a
So Nick Chubb, running back, expected to start the season on the PUP list, which will sideline him for 5 weeks. I don't think that there's ever a 5-week injury that will sideline in 5 weeks because when player cuts happen, that's not a thing. Right. What happens is you make the decision whether you put them on injured reserve or not, and they miss the first 6 games of the season, and they come back week 7. That's the thing that happens.
This is
so
weird, right?
I wish people would report this stuff right.
It's weird.
It's weird. Kalia Davis for the 49ers. Not that the 49ers have any issues at all. They also have one of their standout players, a guy who actually shows up and participates in practice, will now miss roughly half the season with a knee injury.
A lot of knees, man.
Yeah, that happens in this time of year. But like what I said, Madden believes that these guys are going back to the Super Bowl.
They do, and lose.
They're not going back to the Super Bowl, man. You're going to see this team deteriorate fast. All right, wide receiver Marquise Brown was hospitalized with a left shoulder injury. They think that most likely he'll be okay, but because he avoided surgery. But they think, maybe he misses the opener.
Yeah, it was a pec tear, which again, it's a weird injury.
Yeah.
It's a very weird injury,
It's a booby injury.
Yeah.
And you got a little tear up here, man. It needs to be massaged out.
I get that if you add extra 5 kilos on the weight bench, right, and you get a tear, but I don't get it playing. But okay.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is you were reaching for somebody to grab for them, and they ripped your arm back, and you kind of like tore it a little bit. I mean, all kinds of weird stuff happens. Or you can take a helmet underneath the ribs. You're wearing pads.
It's football.
It's like, that kind of hurt my boobie.
It's football, man. But 20 years ago, we'd never hear about these kind of injuries. You know what I mean? They didn't happen.
20 years ago, they didn't really report injuries as much as they do now. There's like, they're dealing with bumps and bruises. That's all you would do.
And in the game, I know it's changed.
Yeah. Or you'd be asking the question, why isn't he in the game? I thought he just had minor bumps and bruises, and you wouldn't really know what's going on.
Right.
Well, we didn't really give a crap, right?
So here's one that's near and dear to my heart, because you know how pissed I was when my Lions got rid of Hawkinson. You know how angry I was. And I thought it was the height of stupidity. But
Hawkinson's got his
while he hasn't, been a disappointment up there in Minnesota, geez, pizza. The hindsight is 2020, I guess. Here he is on the pup list with an ACL injury. He's done.
He was dealing with some injuries when he was there with the Lions.
Yeah.
And so your Lions just like, I think he's got a lot of wear and tear on him. He's been a fantastic football player for so long. But maybe he's starting to break down. And now we're still starting to see, like, this is real.
Yeah.
He really is breaking down.
Yeah.
And now he has a torn ACL that he had back in December. He had surgery apparently in January. I got this news from you, and he's still not recovered. I had a misspelling on that. I corrected it. Did you see that?
I don't know how you slipped that in there, but you did. How did you do that?
I did that without you even noticing.
We did our pre-show warm-up, and we had a typos, and we tried to fix it. And Mike said, we're going forward anyway. But every time I do this, my camera changes. Because I got camera.
That's because you got the auto movement thing going on.
Yeah, but I don't have it on. And I don't know why it does that. It makes me angry. Makes me angry!
So we have a lot of major buzz around the league. So, Patriots, Jared Mayo. Drake May showed great composure in preseason outing versus the Eagles. So, I will tell you one thing. I have not heard much of Drake May news since he was drafted, other than I heard like he might need a little work.
And then he needed a lot of work.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, Coach Mayo comes out and said, "Oh yeah, he showed him great composure."
Listen, he looked great. All of the top draft pick QBs looked good in their season opener. All of them.
Which is a message which is a message to all those vets who are trying to get $55 million a year fully guaranteed contracts. Hey, kids are coming out of college that are looking good.
It was a very good draft class, in my opinion.
The bubble's got to happen sooner or later. The bubble's got to pop in this league sooner or later.
Jeez, pizza, you'd think, right?
I'm telling you, man. And we do talk about that, it seems like every year, but like, my goodness, man. So another thing about David Mayo is, they made a trade. Matt Judon, their only pass rusher. They just decided, let's get rid of him. Let's trade him off. And he went to the Atlanta Falcons.
And all things being equal, I mean, the Patriots D looked pretty doggone good in that game.
Yeah. And you know what he says?
Like, surprisingly good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you are talking backups versus backups. But Jared Mayo basically said, you know what? We've gone years without a premier rusher. We don't need one of those. It's a strategy.
It's an interesting one.
It's an interesting strategy. I don't know if any other team in the league will agree with that. But, hey, listen, we got a video on this. Let's take a listen to this dude.
Oh, yeah.
What he had to say about it.
Rusher the Falcons have long been seeking is on his way to Atlanta. The New England Patriots are sending edge rusher Matthew Judon to the Falcons in exchange for a third-round draft pick, according to a report Wednesday night by ESPN's Adam Schefter. Judon was sitting out early in training camp, though he had returned to practice. He was seeking a contract for 2025, which he did not have yet with the Patriots. Now he will do the same with the Atlanta Falcons before the season begins. Pass rush has been the weakest point for the Falcons for a very long time. They have not had a double-digit sack leader since Vic Beasley in 2016, which corresponds to the last time the team made the Super Bowl. Over the last several seasons, they've had the worst rate in terms of pass rush win rate in the league. And over the last 5 seasons, they've had 23 fewer sacks than any other team in the NFL. On top of that, they just lost another edge rusher, Braylon Trice, their third-round draft pick, to a season-ending injury just a few days ago. On draft night, the Falcons were roundly criticized that they took quarterback Michael Penix Jr. at number 8 when they already had signed a big money contract with Kirk Cousins in the offseason. Critics said at the time they could have taken a pass rusher with that number 8 pick.
No, they did.
Well, now the Falcons have their edge rusher, signifying they are going all in 2024.
Now, how come the Commanders didn't pick him up?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, as a trade, you would think for a third-round draft pick, again, this is a deal that happened between those organizations, and they were talking. They did that.
Great on the Falcons. Falcons did awesome. I agree, and that's why I think the Madden results, for how bad they do, are completely ridiculous.
Completely ridiculous.
Falcons have a much better year
are going to do well,
and this is just one that, of course, wasn't figured into that, but
it doesn't
having
matter.
an edge rush like this is a good thing.
Yeah, this is going to be a really
trade him. Why?
Well, the reason behind it, yeah. So the reason why is that he was really discontent with where the contract situation was, and he didn't want to play on the final year of his contract. He wanted a payday. It came down to money. He wanted a payday. He goes, listen, I'm emerging to be a new young dominant edge rusher in this league. I want a long-term contract extension, which they would not grant. And he goes, well, listen, then trade me.
Yeah,
he goes,
understandable.
And to me, for a third-round pick, great on the friggin' Falcons, man, because to me, that's an easy one. If I'm a general manager and I'm just like, I get a chance to get somebody like him, if I get a chance to get somebody like him, I'm going to freaking do it. Yep. Jared, for a third-round pick, that guy is a first-round grade.
Yep.
And if you need an edge rusher, I make that deal every day of the week.
Okay. No, all right, listen. We're going to see how it's going to affect the
question is how much money does he want, and do you have that room in your salary cap?
That's true, right?
That's the only limb fact. And so before you pulled the trigger on that trade, you better have been talking to his agent. Going, what is it that your client wants?
Well, it was no cash. It was just a third-round pick. So,
well, that was the trade that went to the team.
Good move on the Falcons.
But it's the agent on how much money he wants for his client and the new reconstructed contract.
Yeah.
And so before you make the trade with the team, you want to know how much is this new contract going to cost me?
Yeah.
Right? Otherwise, you're just like, yeah, no deal. As bad as you would want the player. Because you don't want him to come in there and go, listen, I'm only here because you all traded for me with the assumption that I'm going to get the contract that I want.
Right.
Right. So anyway, the Rams, Aubrey Pleasant is going to serve as the head coach on Saturday's preseason game versus the Chargers. Sean McVay wants to, and I think this is kind of a cool story. He believes that his assistant coach is ready for a head coaching job. So he wants to actually let people around the league see how good of a coach he really is.
Sean McVay said, this has ever happened? I think
I've never heard of this before, but I think it's such a cool story.
It's a great story.
Like
head coaches give other coaches head coaching responsibility in the preseason. It's kind of like preseason for coaches.
That's right.
I love Sean McVay for that.
And, so it's not about his pride or anything. It's just like, I want to uplift one of my assistant coaches. I think he's ready for a head coaching job.
Yeah.
I want to display his talents to around the league because I believe in him. He's ready. So I'm going to sit up in the booth, sit back and evaluate my team as a whole. And I'm going to let my assistant coach the team. He's head coach for a week.
Football for you, Sean McVay.
Yeah, I believe he deserves a game ball for that.
I think that is the most coolest thing ever.
Yeah, really cool story. And I love stuff like this, man. I had never even thought of that or heard of that before. But I think, wow, what a cool idea. So Russell Wilson has also been projected to be the starter for this week against the Bills.
Finally, let's see if his injuries don't mess with him, but yeah.
And this is supposed to be another bullet comment, but Michael Parsons guarantees that CD Lamb will play week 1. He knows he's not going anywhere. Yeah.
We'll see.
Michael Parsons, just because you got your 5th-year option doesn't mean you know what our general managers think. And there's one general manager of the Dallas Cowboys who just so happens to be the owner of the team, Jerry Jones. And don't think for a second that dude hasn't been around the block for a couple of decades.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, you gotta love the NFL, man. I'm so glad we're in the season and we have so much to talk about now. It's just fun.
Oh, man, it is fun. So there was a preseason game, a week 2 preseason game, which I think there's a lot of interesting things that we can learn off of because let me tell you something, Sarge. Preseason week 2 is the old preseason week 3. When we had 4 preseason games, the third one was the dress rehearsal, whereas the last preseason game was put the scrubs in there because what we want to figure out is the backside of our roster and who we want to keep on the practice squad.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now that we only have 3 preseason games, it's usually the second preseason that's the dress rehearsal. Right. And then you still have the last game as being where you do it. So basically you just take away one of your front-loaded preseason games. Right? So here we are. And I think a lot of teams have augmented that with joint practices and things like that. So the work is still getting in. So we had a preseason game, and I found this one to be somewhat interesting because it didn't necessarily follow previous standard practices.
Right.
So you had the Eagles game on Thursday night against the Patriots, and somebody was missing. Jalen Hurts. They did not start him in the dress rehearsal and what was supposed to be, or what around the league has been perceived as being the dress rehearsal game.
They got a lot of money wrapped up in him. This is how bad it's been. To your point about 1/5 of salaries of teams is locked up now in the quarterback position, and you cannot risk that guy getting injured.
It's very interesting because then the question goes on the flip side of that is he going to be prepared for week 1?
They obviously feel he will be. He's taking reps in practice.
He is. Well, one of the reps he had in practice was he lofted a touchdown pass to Saquon Barkley.
Yep.
During the pass joint practice. And they probably figure right there, like, wow, he looks great. We've seen all we need to see.
Put him on the bench. Give him a mic.
All right. And he goes, what was that?
Give him a microphone. Give him a mic. Put him on the bench.
We're gonna bubble wrap this dude. We've seen all we need to see in practice. Dude looks great. He's not playing.
You know what I mean? That gives you more confidence to try your second and third, right?
Well, for the backup quarterback, it really helps them a little bit because they don't really know who their backup quarterback's going to be.
Yeah, it's up in the air.
People think it's going to be Kenny Pickett, but
it should be. My opinion, it should be. Pickett's a good quarterback.
It should be, right? But people go, well, don't count out McGee. Okay, we'll see, right? On the Patriots on the other side, well, Drake May, he had a very positive performance. People think Drake May is going to be the guy. I think it's less, but a lot of people were kind of curious of what this team would look like now that Matt Judon exited out.
So I'm going to tell you, I watched this game, and I watched the coach's replay on NFL. And while, yeah, of course, Drake May's the draft pick. Of course, he's got attention, and he had a great game. My shock and my surprise was in the defense standing up. Holy moly, what happened? Something's changed. They came out of nowhere, and they held the Eagles all the way to the end. I was impressed.
Well, let's watch some of that. So some of the highlights that we have for the game here, we'll do it. I tried to turn the volume down on the gameplay in the background where we still got a little bit of it going, but like, let me see if I can turn it down a little bit more so we can comment on it a little bit. So one of the things that I want to see here, we don't get to the action here with
yeah, that was a 60-some-odd yard punt that went out. It was an amazing punt.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, actually.
Yeah, let me try to turn this volume down just a little bit more.
It's
Let's
all
watch
right.
that punt again.
On. It's okay.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that read, and look at that. I mean,
yeah, I'll tell you
what happened to the Patriots. They're going to do something this year.
Well, I think that they're really rebuilding a team, and they're going with guys that are hungry, right?
Yes.
And
you see it. You saw it.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out their new identity. And
stand in the pocket, move up, do the pick.
That was a bad pick there. One thing I don't like about this return by the Eagles is you still had a lot of room, and he
yeah, why did he run out of bounds? He should have pushed that for everything it was worth. I didn't get that at all.
Yeah, that's not a good play there. It's a good play action for a quick slant.
That's a good stick by Hawkins coming up with the shoulder.
You know. But yeah, there's a lot of very interesting plays in here, and there's things that the Eagles did and the Patriots did that I thought that all looked pretty good here. Look at the defense there by the Patriots.
I'm telling you, they dialed in a number. The game plan was good for the D. It was really good.
Yeah. A good field goal.
After this went down to the wire, like it did shock me because I thought it would have been a blowout. Me personally, I thought it would have been a blowout.
Yeah.
Especially based on our analysis, coming into the preseason, how they did through the draft and all those things. But
look at that. There's a little bit of a break. So that new kickoff rule is still going to take some getting used to.
I didn't see as many penalties in this game for the kickoff rule as I did in the other preseason games.
Yeah, I think people are starting to practice it a lot more, and they're realizing what they can get away with, what they can't.
That's for sure, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, look at this defense pursuit. Look at that.
Look at that.
And it's just I'm like, who is this team? What just happened?
Yeah, are they missing their edge rusher? I don't think so, right? So, look at that catch. So they got some athletes out there on the Patriots.
They do. So we may have miscalculated the patch, but again, it's a preseason game.
Yeah, you can't put much into preseason.
But this is their depth, so that goes to late in the season, right? Where is your depth and what can they do? This game impressed from that perspective.
Because when you get injuries that start setting in, it's next man up, right?
So they show that they've got depth that can perform, and I was really surprised by that. I didn't think it was that strong. But look at this.
Yeah. Look at that edge rush.
Just unbelievable, right? You're like, who are these dudes? What are they doing?
Yeah.
They're embarrassing the Eagles. That's what they're doing.
That's what they're doing. Look, they're coming.
Yeah. So I see a lot of vigor. I see a lot of good coaching there, obviously, right?
Yeah, very good coaching. I would have to agree with you there, Sarge. I mean, that's some good coaching. Look at his pass rush.
Yep.
Now he squeezed out of that, but
but the pressure's there, right?
The pressure is there. It's very impressive. There's a flag on this play, but
sack for a loss. But
let's watch his pass rush again. Look at how solid that pass rush is.
It is what? Yeah, I was off the edge of my seat going, what is going on with the
Which makes you have to worry about the Eagles because we projected the Eagles to be the top of the NFC East, and their line is not holding up. Whoa, look at those moves.
Yep. 2 jukes, man. Great jukes. I wish I could do that on Madden with my sticks.
I don't know how to do that, man. How do I just run that out of bounds?
You gotta flick it. You gotta flick it.
You gotta flick it? Flip the paddle?
Yep. Left paddle, flick. Oh, look at that. Great presence on his feet.
Yeah, that's some elusiveness there.
I'm just telling you, this was a really fun game to watch.
It really was. I mean,
Patriots were like, you know what? We don't care who you are. We're staying in, and we're going to push you. And I was just really impressed by the overall coaching.
Yeah, that's an incredible screen pass there. I don't know why the Eagles had nobody on the outside there.
It just looked like the Eagles were like, it's the Patriots. That's what it looked like to me. And the Patriots like, oh no, it's the Eagles. Let's plan. That's what it looked like.
Yeah, and you know, we speak so highly of the Eagles, like they should run away with the NFC East, but like they're looking a little like not too sharp in this move.
Look at that move. I mean, May impress. There's no question.
Drake May.
Obviously, he was the draft pick, so yeah, it's going to get the attention. But it was really the defense that spoke to me in holding out Philly. You know,
the only thing I didn't like in this game,
it was like, this is a game changer. Of course, you expect your rookie QB to do.
Look at this return,
and he did. But it was the defense here that showed up. That was like, this is a changed team somehow.
Yeah. The only thing I didn't like about this particular one is I would have liked to see Drake May throw a throwing touchdown.
Yeah, of course, right?
And we didn't have that. So here's an interesting one. He goes for it, but fumbles the ball.
Yeah, what happened to the brotherly shove, man? The brotherly shove disappeared. I haven't seen it. That brotherly shove, like, who knows, man? I don't know.
One thing about watching highlights is we're already in the third quarter. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And we're getting a good feel for what this game is all about. You know, and they're just a really solid defense by the Patriots.
It was very impressive. Yeah. I was literally like hooked on the edge of my couch, sipping a beer, not a whiskey, but a beer, and I'm like, this is a really good game.
Yeah, these guys are battling.
Like they are, you know, I saw what I love to see in the NFL. Players who are looking for first spot positions or to show up, who are playing their hearts out.
Yeah.
You know, to try to get a position, try to get noticed, and they are putting it all on the line.
Look at that catch.
Yeah,
that catch right there, like he's laid out for that catch.
Yeah, and not to discredit the Eagles had a good game, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean,
look at that. Patriots defense again.
I did not expect the Patriots defense to show up, especially that deep, to show up that big against the Eagles.
Wow.
It was like a depth competition, and the Patriots clearly won it.
And here's another one of the big kickoffs that they have right here. Look at this. Look at that hole.
They got a hole in the middle. Oh my God! You're gonna drive a freight train to that thing. Got a hole.
You wanted more action.
Oh, let me pull them listeners.
Well, they wanted more action with this kickoff rule, and that play we got a little bit more action.
Yeah.
So maybe the new kickoff rule is going to get them what they want.
Maybe.
Not sold yet, but another phenomenal catch.
Yeah.
Like we're seeing some big catches in this game. And we're also seeing some good pass rushing.
The Eagles' second offense looked good, but it was really what stood out to me was the Patriots D. You know, and they had some breakdowns. Of course, every game you have them. But the overall performance was impressive to me.
Yep. I mean, these guys are battling. Look how close this game is.
Yeah, and this is kind of where the game turned. And at PD, you saw the Patriots kind of fall off, and ultimately, you know,
they decided they didn't want to tie it up, so they went for two.
Yeah, and I thought that was a great play. That was a great call on the coaching side, and that's kind of where the momentum. You just felt the momentum shift in the game, and it was it.
Well, also in preseason, you don't want to go into overtime in the preseason game.
Yeah, exactly. But this here's the game breaker right here, right?
Yep. Now the Eagles are coming.
And you know, I thought Milton might have had a chance to come because he had 2 more completions after this. Milton did a great job. And
so look at that defense. That defense pinned their ears back, and they're like, "We're coming after you, Drake."
Yep. No, that's Milton in there. That's Milton.
Oh, that's Milton in this one.
Yeah. And Milton looked good. Milton looked like, again, impressively good. But when they get the ball back, Milton looked like he was going to come back.
Another great catch, even though that one's incomplete. He has out. But, you see guys like really grabbing and trying to get to the ball. Inside of 2 minute
warning. Read to the edge here. Get that out of bounds. I thought they were going to drive, and then you
Oh
get
my gosh, that's the game right there.
Yep.
Bad snap. And they're hugging it out. So
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty good rundown.
Zappe didn't get a chance. I would have loved to see him come back and push him down for a field goal win, but that was their backup center. So, they have some problems, obviously. You saw how bad that ball went. I mean, there was nothing Zappe could do. That was just the most horrific. It's like, seriously? But that was their backup center. So
I'm going to give you everybody our top 4 preseason games that I think are worth watching this weekend. 3 of them are.
This is your call, not my call. Let's just make that clear to the audience here.
Yeah, it's mine.
I'm going to agree 100% with you, Coach Mad Mike. I agree with these.
You agree with them? Okay. Yeah, I did come up with these. I picked 4 games. One, I am following the Lions a little bit. I know they're your team. And I think to watch them play against the Chiefs in this one and seeing what this game looks like, I don't know how you could, for a preseason game, how you would not want to watch this game.
No, you need to.
Right? So and it comes on today at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So we're going to watch that game today, right? So I think it's going to be worth watching.
I already have the beer ready. I've got the brats. They're defrosted.
You're in mid-season form, aren't you?
I'm full in. That you see me in my Lions gear today. I am full in, and the Lions need to show up today. I was more than a little disappointed in the first game, and you'll see a short from me on it.
My prediction is Dan Campbell's going to go for it again 4 times on 4th down and miss all 4 of them. Just because that's his trend now.
Dan Campbell's a meathead, and Dan Campbell will not even get, because of him, will not even get this team back into the position they were last year. I predict the Lions make the playoffs. I'm downgrading them based on my first impression on what he did in week 1 preseason, which I know doesn't count for anything, but it goes to coaching, and this team will lose based on coaching.
Yeah, and eventually they won't continue to cover his back.
He needs.
Eventually, they're going to start saying you're being stupid.
Yeah. Oh, well, that 4 4th and 1s, 2 in the first quarter, 2 in the second quarter, all of them negative, and 1 for a pick. Utter idiocy. There were 6 points on the board that he could have taken, which would have made the difference in the game, and he didn't take it. And this all comes down to Dan Campbell being a meathead.
A meathead. Well, one of the other games I kind of look forward to, obviously, I'm a Washington Redskins Commanders fan, and we have an issue already brewing on this team. Actually, it's more than an issue. It's about 4 issues. And so I kind of want to spell it out, and I'm going to go through this more on the Commanders edition after we watch this game. But this game comes on today as well. This one will be at 7 p.m. So when you're done watching the Lions, you can flip on over and watch the Redskins play the Dolphins, and they're still the Redskins to me. But like this team right here already have quarterback issues. How many times have we heard this team having quarterback issues, right? Sam Hartman is out with an injury. Marcus Mariota is out with an injury. We signed another quarterback, which will be the 3rd string guy on this. This is going to come back to Jeff Driscoll getting a majority of their playing time, along with Jaden Daniels.
Okay.
So you got Jaden Daniels, you're going to have Jeff Driscoll, and then the new guy we signed was a guy named Sorley, who I had never even heard of before. He's a guy who bounced around on like 5 different teams' practice squads.
Why did they let Jake Fromm go? Because the Lions picked up Fromm to cover for Hooker. Why did Washington not go for Jake Fromm, who they know already?
Because we signed Sam Hartman, and Sam Hartman beat him out for the number 4 spot.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes sense.
And so we were like, we're done with Fromm. We know about him.
I did not know Mariota got injured. I thought Mariota was starting this game. So, wow.
Nope. He got hurt, and he's already been ruled out. So we have 2 quarterbacks that have already been ruled out for this game.
How bad is Mariota's injury?
It's a shoulder issue on his throwing arm.
1 week, 2 weeks.
They say a week to 2 weeks. He might be done because if he doesn't get the playing time in, and they're happy with either Jeff Driscoll or Sam Hartman can come back, and they're happy with him, they're only going to keep 2 quarterbacks on this team.
I'll tell you, Coach, I was impressed with Hartman's performance in week 1. I liked what he did. I really did. I
think a lot of people like what he has, but he got
really liked it. Yeah.
And it's really going to come down onto where his injuries are at, and I think it's going to come down to the third preseason game for them. But here's the other issues with the Washington game. The Washington game is there's a lot of wide receivers that are all battling for the number 2 position.
Right, exactly.
Jahan Dotson will probably become the new slot guy, which means
over McCaffrey.
Because McCaffrey's not doing as well either. But De'Ami Brown seems to be the new favorite, but Zacchaeus is also in there. Bottom line is they're not sold on who their number 2 outside guy is.
Yeah, right. They're still deciding, yeah.
Which makes it harder in this game, which will be worthwhile because you have 2 quarterbacks that are out. Who's going to try to get them the ball? These wide receivers are going to want targets so they can make their case.
And God,
this
is where you'd love to see Washington come out and say we're going to run.
Well, that's just it. Because in the first preseason game, they didn't do that. And so now
they did. They
didn't do it with Robinson and Austin Eckler. And so when do they get their reps where we see what this running game is going to look like?
Well, this is what you say, Coach. You say this is the game where they prove themselves, right? Where the starters come out and they run their game, right?
Right. Which brings me to my fourth issue. Which brings my fourth issue. Are the tackles going to play in this game?
Oh, Lord. Let's see. I haven't heard anything yet. I hadn't looked at it.
So, is Wiley going to be in there? Is Coleman going to be in there? Is Cornelius Lucas going to be?
And we're going to have a lot to talk about tomorrow night on the Commander's Edition about this subject.
Well, yeah, it'll be
going to have a ton to talk about because I'm watching this game.
We're watching this game. So this is going to be one to watch. Let's move on to the Falcons. And
wait a minute. How do you think who are you calling for Washington and Miami?
It doesn't matter. It's preseason.
Well,
scores don't matter.
I'm calling Miami.
Scores don't matter. Scores don't matter. What I care about is how do these guys really freaking look?
All right.
That's what matters because scores don't matter in preseason.
I'm calling Chiefs, Miami, Baltimore. You're not going to believe this. Denver.
Oh my God. Again, it doesn't matter.
I know.
What you want to do
I'm going the total right side.
You can go with total right side. I don't really care. I'll go total left side. I don't really freaking give a flip.
Who's going to start for the Falcons?
Scores in preseason really don't matter. What I want to see is starters playing.
Right.
And how long do they play? And are when you put your starting lineup in there, are they able to sustain a drive?
Right. Can they produce?
Right. And then, when I look at things defensively, going back to Washington, what does that defensive line look like? Is Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne going to play?
Yeah.
Is Bobby Wagner going to even get in this game?
Yeah.
With Frankie Lavu? I want to see those two guys on the field at the same time.
Yeah.
And what about freaking Emmanuel Forbes? Is he going to be able to cover anybody? There's so many question marks.
Yeah, there is a lot of question marks.
So going back to the Atlanta.
You know what? Miami is the perfect team to play against to answer those question marks. Seriously, with the threats, right? Especially in the secondary for the Commanders. I think going up against Miami is going to very much solidify a lot of those questions that may be out there on the Commanders secondary.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to the Atlanta-Baltimore Ravens game, I think this is going to be a really good game for both.
It's going to be a telling game, isn't it?
Yeah, you're going to learn a lot about both of these teams off of this game.
I want to see Penix. I want to see Bo Nix. I want to see what they do. They're definitely going to play prominently in these games. Will Judon play for Atlanta? Will he start?
That's what I'm curious about. Are they going to work him in? I'm really
would, right? You'd think they would. Why not?
He would, and I would like to see what he looks like on those line positions. I mean, this is going to be a fun game, I think, really to watch because it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
And then I put the Green Bay one on there along with the Broncos because I think that's going to be another telling game for both of these two clubs. I like it when you have these NFC, AFC matchups, and that's what all four of these games are. They're NFC, AFC matchups that I think, and all these teams have issues in one regard or another that make it intriguing.
Yes.
right? That's the reason why I picked these 4 games, because I think these are 4 very intriguing games to watch.
I totally agree with you. I think
none of them are going on at the same time, so you can actually watch all 4 of these games this weekend.
Yep, it's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be really awesome. Well, there you go.
I need to get more beer.
I mean, you're going to need a lot of beer and a lot of bratwurst, and because we got a whole lot of football that's going down this weekend, and it starts today, baby. Today, all those games get started.
Let's get it on. Let's get it on.
And everybody, this is Football Psyche, baby, and we will be out of here. And join us on Monday night for our live stream where we break down the Washington Commanders and what they do, and be prepared to come back to us next week. I'm going to flip back to the slides here real quick. Next week, we will have our first live stream for the NFL show, and you will not want to miss it because you want to interact. Look in the upper right-hand corner. Come, participate in the discussion. Don't just watch videos on YouTube. Come and participate, and we want to interact with each and every one of you.
Go live, baby!
We're going to go live, and this is Football Psyche. We're out of here. Peace.